What brings you a sense of purpose in your business? Welcome to the Alchemy of Alignment. I'm Suzy Sanders. We are cracking into another purposeful entrepreneurial story today. And I'm super excited to be joined by the wonderful Heather, who is one of Alchemy's newest franchise partners. And if you are watching us today, Heather is also joined, or might be joined, by Alfie the dog as well. So Heather, welcome. Thank you for making the time and space to have this conversation with me. It is great to be here with you today.
Thank you.
So you're one of our newer franchise partners at Alchemy VA. I've got a lot of questions. And
Great.
I've got a couple of questions from a couple of listeners as well. But as you know, I always like to start an episode with what I define a big question. And I'm asking that question to you to kick off the episode. So Heather, what brings you a sense of purpose in your business?
Well, it's a really big question, and there isn't just one answer, I don't think. Definitely a combination of things. I think probably the two things that come to mind first are relationships and learning. So, relationships are such a big, important part of life in general, but I think in business as well, just building, maintaining, and just having that kind of human connection, I think, with people brings me a real sense of purpose, definitely, in my business. And learning is, again, just part of the journey of life. And if you can keep learning in your business, it's just, I just think it's a privilege, really, to be able to keep learning, and not even just necessarily about how to do things, but learning about people, learning about business, and how to do things as well. So yeah, they're the two things that came to mind first.
Oh, such a great answer and such important things as well. And Heather, I know you know those two elements are really important to me as well. But that sense of purpose, relationships, human connection, it's so important from a commercial perspective, but from the human, like as you said there, relationships are so important in life, particularly as your business is remote as well. There's a real importance there on keeping that connection and those relationships alive and learning. I mean, it's interesting. I was listening back to one of our previous episodes just this morning with a wonderful lady called Kim, and we were both talking about learning, and that's something that is a pattern I'm noticing in all of the episodes that I've done so far. Learning and growth is a big part of a lot of people's purpose. And you mentioned the things there, kind of how to do things, learning about people and relationships, and learning about so many different things. But do you agree that learning about yourself has been quite a significant part of your business journey so far as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, especially at the start, I think, of your business, there's definitely a steep learning curve about lots of things, but about yourself is a big, important part of that. I think even just taking that leap to do it, to start your business, is a big part of learning about yourself as well. And again, I think none of us kind of stay the same throughout our whole lives. And starting your own business is such an incredible way to learn about yourself, throw yourself in at the deep end and see how you deal with all sorts of things that you probably never even expected.
Yeah. And you're so right, because I mean, I feel very privileged that I get to speak to a lot of incredible people who have either wanted to start or already started their own businesses. And you're right, it's a real vulnerable thing to do for so many reasons. What do you think some of the biggest things you've learned about yourself, or learned generally so far?
Oh gosh, there's so many, isn't there?
Sorry, another big question for you, Heather.
Probably I'm more resilient than I even thought that I was. And probably I've learned that I'm more reflective than I even realized as well. And that's just about me. I mean, gosh, there's so much other stuff I've learned as well, especially from a business perspective. And it's always interesting talking to other business owners and seeing how they run their business and how that reflects them as a person as well. I think that's a really interesting point again.
I have the benefit of knowing you very well because we speak very often, and it's always a joy when we do. And I know when a lot of people start their businesses, you mentioned something there that felt quite key for me about the learning things you hadn't thought about, and I know quite rightly, a lot of people when they start their businesses, there's a big phase of kind of research, thinking, planning,
Mm.
getting kind of the ducks in a row, so to speak.
Mm.
And I know you went through this process. I'm still going through this process in many ways. But you mentioned there learning things that you didn't even think of, and your resilience has perhaps surprised you a little bit. So if anyone's listening that's thinking, that's in that thinking phase, what would you suggest they do?
Um, Believe in themselves, probably, and have a bit of trust. I think it's hard, though. It is really hard when you don't know what's coming, you don't know what's going to happen. But I think not giving up is a really powerful thing, actually, because although you might feel like giving up, when you keep going and you come out the other side, you suddenly go, wow. And you just, it feels so amazing to have shown yourself that you can do it. And that again, you learn the kind of difficult things are actually part of the journey, and it is all just a journey, which is really important. So yeah, if somebody was thinking about it, expect to show yourself things that you didn't even know, I guess.
Yeah. And oh, that's so important, so wise, and so joyful as well. Because I know there's this sense of and I hear this a lot online as well. It's like getting your goals done, smashing this, do it. This kind of, is it hustle culture? Maybe, I don't know, but there's
Maybe.
so much about that. But what I heard from you there, what I took from what you just said was like the joys in the journey. It is about
Yeah,
all of it, isn't it? It's
absolutely. This has so come to me in the last few months that you have to enjoy the moments as they happen, because you know things can work out the way you want, but you've learned nothing, and the joy is in learning those things
yeah,
and coming out the other side of them, and kind of even just talking, having a really nice conversation with somebody. They don't, not that they have to be a client or anything, just having a really good conversation, and then just appreciating that afterwards and going, I'm so glad I met that person, so glad I had that chat. Nothing has to come of it, but that was part of the journey, and that's, to use your word, joyful, I think.
yeah. Amazing. And that is that part of the relationship that you
Yeah,
mentioned earlier that gives you that purpose and that, my
absolutely.
words, joy.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. I suppose in a way the purpose is finding the joy, I guess, as well, isn't it? It's
Oh,
enjoying the journey, and that's something I think. Yeah, I've definitely learned that along the way. It's not
yeah.
something I would have said at the start that was, my purpose, but definitely something that I've learned along the way.
Oh, amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that because it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think that there can often be, particularly in the early stages of any business. I mean, there is always challenges, isn't there? But particularly in the early stages, it's always it feels quite hard and quite cold in the sense of like looking at numbers, practicalities, planning, and then you launch, and then actually it's a softening and finding the joy and the
Mm.
connection and the things that you,
Yeah.
yeah, have I got that right?
Yeah, I think so, and I think it's a development of purpose again, isn't it? It's, I suppose it's learning still. So,
Yeah,
you, yeah, what you think it might be at the beginning is not necessarily what it becomes, because on the journey you learn different things, and you learn that you enjoy different things, and that different things bring you purpose. And yeah, I know there's still lots more to come, so that's to look forward to.
Oh, that is to look forward to. And for context, for anyone watching, listening, um, you're based in York, aren't you? You have our York franchise area, and you decided to start your virtual assistant business with Alchemy, and that was one of the questions that we'd had because we are always. Always got lots of questions, and we're always open for anyone listening and watching to share their thoughts and questions as well. So that was actually one of the questions that came up. What made you choose Alchemy?
Ah, well, it wasn't a hard choice at all. I think I just in the research that I'd done quite a long time ago, I found alchemy, and it just something about the family values and all the other values just spoke to me somehow. I don't know, and then it wasn't the right time for me to start my business then, but I kind of kept following along, and then when I felt it was the right time, I did a bit of other research out of due diligence, really, but I never really thought, even considered another franchise. I investigated them, but I none of them had the same feel for me. Um, Definitely, yeah, that was just something about the values called to me. I felt, yeah, it felt right. I think.
Oh, now that's good to hear. And you mentioned something that's very poignant to me there in the timing, because I don't believe there ever is a right time,
Mm.
but it's about getting the time optimal, right? Would you agree?
Yeah, well, I think there's so many things in life that there is never a right time for. There's never a right time to have children. There's never a right time to get a pet. But I think something in you just sparks, and you just, even though you know everything might not be exactly right, you still know you've got to go for it then, that and
Yeah.
then and there. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think there's just something. Maybe it's just in me. I don't know, but a gut instinct that says you've got to go for this now. You know.
Yeah, I would agree because I think you're so right, Heather. I had this conversation with a friend just yesterday, and we kind of looked at each other and we were just like, when does life get calmer? Um, because I feel like I've spent most of my adult life waiting for things to get easier or calmer or different. And it's like, actually, life is chaotic.
Mm,
Heather, you've got two children, you've got Alfie, we've got all these demands and relationships and commitments on us. And, I've had so many curveballs over the past couple of weeks. Wouldn't have predicted them on my bingo card for this year,
yeah.
shall we say. Um, but that's the reality, isn't it? And actually, you're absolutely right in what you say. And you described it there as a spark. But for me, I remember it was a bit of a snowball, kind of
Mm,
rolling and building for me. And then I remember I had this kind of moment where I was just like, no, the risk of not doing it is greater to me right
yeah.
now. I'm figuring it out.
Yeah.
And that was definitely accumulation of so many different factors. Um, and I remember in the first kind of 6 months of my business, when I'd left my employment, I'd got time. And I was like, what do I do with this? Because I feel like I'm putting loads to business development. I'm working really hard. I'm trying to get more clients in. And I remember my husband, Paul, said to me, just enjoy having a little bit of space because you're going to be really busy soon. And I laughed. And he was right. I'm putting it on record. He was right. But is that kind of, would you resonate with that experience?
Yes, although I didn't really have space at the start of my business because I was still employed for quite a long time. So, um, but then now looking back on it, I kind of think, yeah, I'm glad I had kind of a nice, steady like training experience, and that that was all really nice. But it's definitely, yeah, whether it's a snowball or a spark, I don't know. It's both, isn't it? And yeah, suddenly things happen and you have to kind of go with it, I think.
Yeah. And how you mentioned some key things there in kind of resilience. How are some of the ways that you just go with it? Because it's all well and good saying go with the flow, trust the journey, but are there any things that you found really helpful?
I don't know. I don't find it easy to just go with it at all. Like that is not a natural thing for me. I like to have things planned out and organized. Um, but I think just life experience has just led me to realize that sometimes you just have to take a deep breath and go with it and see what happens. Um, and things just turn out all right when you know, eventually, however long it takes, they do.
Yeah, you're right. And I think that is a trust, but that's a belief in yourself as well, right? In your abilities to be able to deal with and navigate things
Yeah, again, I
and
think built over time.
mm,
You know, maybe 10 years ago I couldn't have done this because I wasn't in the right place and I didn't have that trust in myself, probably.
mm,
um so yeah, I think it's just things that have happened in life just build you up ready for what's needed. I think.
yeah, yeah. And I know that you've been speaking to a lot of small businesses recently in various different capacities, from those lovely connection conversations to people that potentially are looking at getting some virtual assistant support. So are there any patterns or themes that you've spotted from those conversations? Obviously not revealing anyone's personal challenges, but are there any kind of themes you've spotted out there in at the moment?
Definitely. I was thinking about this week. Well, I think there's a pattern of people who really get very, very busy and they are really passionate about their business and they want it to be not, you know, not perfect, but you know, they're striving their real hardest and they are kind of struggling to let go of some of that, even though they're overwhelmed, like overwhelmed business owners. But I think they get to a point where they realize that they really need to, and then they have a kind of bit of a figuring out process of how and what they can do. I think a lot of people are sort of struggling with their kind of inboxes and a pattern of as well people feeling guilt for not being able to manage, and they have like very strong values that they don't want to let people down and they feel like they're always sending emails saying, oh, I'm so sorry, and that feeling doesn't feel good to them, and that's when they sort of reach the point where they realize, I think I better get some help now.
Yeah. Oh, you're so right. That's hit quite hard with me there, Heather, in a really positive way, because um you've given me a chance for reflection now, because it's the things you mentioned there, passionate, kind of really striving for high standards,
Yeah,
really wanting their business to be the best. All of those are such important, valid things. But then there's this beautiful trap we can get ourselves stuck in. And I know I fell over in this trap numerous times over the past 9 years. About And it is a feeling, isn't it? Like guilt that I'm
yeah,
not responding quick enough, guilt that I'm not getting things done quick enough, and it's all this kind of self put pressure to some degree, isn't it? Because I think this is one of the challenges we have with this always on world that we live in now. I was joking with someone last week. We were joking about how WhatsApp's become the inbox. Like, actually,
yeah,
I find it harder to keep up with my WhatsApps now than I do my emails, because it's like, oh. But
yeah.
again, there's this expectation of response, isn't there? And
There is, but sometimes I think personally you feel that other people expect more of you than they do. And I don't mean you, I mean us
generally, yeah,
in general.
yeah,
We think that people expect more of us,
yeah.
even though we wouldn't expect that of other people. You
Mm.
know, if somebody doesn't get back to you for a day, you don't think, oh my God, that person's ridiculous. They're so they're so behind with everything. You just think, oh, they're just a bit busy. It's fine. I'll wait, don't you? But inside you feel guilt for not
Yeah,
being super quick and super
yeah,
responsive.
yeah. And then it's hard because you're kind of those stories that you tell yourself when you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling that it can easily be a huge demotivator. It can easily be something that makes you
Mm.
want to quit or stop or get off the roller coaster or whatever it is. And actually, sometimes it's hard to recognize that, b accept that perhaps you do need some help, because that's a whole
Mm.
other thing, isn't it? Like I'm the worst at asking for help, um, and and then it's knowing how to as well. And we had Alchemy had a blog about this we put out recently about the I can't even say it, the delegation dilemma.
Yes.
How easy it is to sometimes go, well, I might as well just do it myself, it's quicker.
Yes.
But then you're fueling all of that, aren't you? Because you've got more responsibility, more things to do. So what would you say to someone, or what would you advise or suggest somebody that's listening to this going, oh my god, that's me? What would you say, beyond give yourself a break and take a
Yeah.
breath? What would you say about helping them figure out where to start looking for some help?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I was going to say is be kind to yourself, and really, you're not alone as well, because there's so many people feeling this. I think it's just, you have to make a little bit of time to stop and do some thinking. Or, I mean, I'm a thinker. Some people might prefer to stop and do some writing or something like that. But just kind of think about what tasks you really could hand over to somebody, because you don't have to be doing them. Somebody else could do them. Um, just have a think about that, and then look around and see, who you think might be able to help you, I guess.
Mm.
Um, and who shares your values, who do you kind of click with, um, and who do you trust, I guess, as well. Trust is important, isn't it? Which is one of the things that is important in relationship building, isn't it, as well? So
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, so be kind to yourself first,
Yes.
and then I love your how you put that there. Like I'm a thinker too, Heather. You know that. But actually, sometimes, and again, it's hard to even take that step to give it thought or
Mm.
planning,
Yeah.
because you are so stressed out. But it's that long term objective, if that's what it is, isn't it? Give yourself a little bit of time today to save yourself the stress in the future. And I often do this actually. It's about finding the way that works for you, whether it's thinking, whether it's
Mm.
planning. But one of the things that I've found quite helpful in the past is I like to get a pack of post-its and write every single task down on a post-it and stick it on a board or something. That in itself I find quite cathartic. And I
I
know I've
love a
shared,
post-it.
I love it. I love a post-it. And if you don't have post-its, drop us a note. We've got tons of alchemy post-its. I'll get you a box sent out. But that in itself, I'm removing myself from my office or my computer and my desk. So I'm giving myself a different environment. I'm writing everything down, which in itself is quite cathartic. But then
Yeah.
because they're on post-its, you can just move them around. And
Mm.
I use the Covey's prioritization matrix, which is about kind of learning how the importance of tasks, the urgency of tasks, in order to establish what you can let go of or delegate. And
Yeah.
I like to move my post-its around based on their importance. But even just having them
Mm.
on the board, you can put them in a timeline if you want. I find that really helpful.
Yeah.
But again, it's finding the time to do that is quite hard, right?
I know, I think it is. I think sometimes you have to just bite the bullet and just set aside that little bit of time, don't you? If
Mm.
there's something that you are putting off, then it's quite often the thing you need to do most, isn't it? I think.
Absolutely, you're so right there, Heather. And actually, um, I would argue sometimes having a look around at who can help you and getting them involved in this part can help.
Yeah.
from our perspective at Alchemy, I mean, not a day goes by where it's like, I know I need help, but I don't know what with. And
Yeah,
actually, if you know a virtual assistant or somebody in who can help you with that
yeah.
process, that can be really beneficial as well, because then you've got somebody independent, impartial, who's not caught up in the emotion and the pressures that you feel, that can be that objective sounding board. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we do speak to people, don't we, that are like, well, I need help, but I'm not sure. What can you do and what would work? And I think just, a no obligation chat is great because you can sort of share some ideas and thoughts, and then somebody that a VA that can just go, yeah, that's totally doable, or well, you might be better thinking about this instead, or well, this could be done in this way. And then maybe that's a bit inspiring to you to think, actually, yeah, this could work. And you can actually start to envision your life with a bit less overwhelm and somebody helping you in that way.
Yeah, and that sparked in my mind, Heather. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about, starting the business, and um, all the planning and the doing, and and actually realizing that trusting the process with that next phase of your journey, right? If you recognize there's signs and symptoms that you need some support, yes, do your due diligence, do your homework, do all the proper stuff, but also learn to trust and try and enjoy the process a little bit.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It's a new part of the business journey process for those the business owners that don't already have a virtual assistant. Yeah, it's a totally new part of their business journey, isn't it? So like you say, embracing that again as a learning curve,
Yeah.
and it's something that's going to be beneficial to you. Yes, it might be a bit tricky to find the time to support and figure things out at the start, but it's a really, really important part of a business journey to embrace.
Oh, absolutely. And that embrace is the good word there, isn't it? Because I feel like that's that's it, isn't it? That's it. That's it. Learning to embrace life, business, whatever it is. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, embracing difficult times, I think, as part of the journey, because you can't know the good times without having some difficult times along the way. Nobody has a perfect journey, nobody. And those, I think it's that thing again of failures aren't failures, they're just part of learning. Um, So yeah, even if things do go wrong, they can be changed. Things
Yes.
can be changed, and you can come out the other side stronger, and you've learned. So yeah, that's it.
Such a wise soul, Heather. You're so right. You're so right. And um it's not an easy thing to do though, is it?
No, especially in the moment, I think is well, obviously it's easier to do it, but if you make the time to reflect, then you can look back and embrace. I seem to have said that word a lot. Embrace those difficult times, but when you're in them, yes, it's really hard to dig yourself out, take a step back, and go, "I'm in this difficult moment, but I will learn from it," and
Yeah.
to believe that you will learn and that you will come out the other side.
Yeah. Oh, Heather. Well, if we were to embrace a little bit of reflection now to honour your words there, because we're coming towards the end of our episode today, which saddens me because I think I say this every episode. I think I could genuinely stay here and talk to you for hours, and I'm probably going to give you a call after we stop recording. Um, what do you think at this moment in time? To close down this episode, when we're thinking about our sense of purpose and embracing the journey, what do you think some of the key lessons have been for you?
Um, well, I sort of touched on this earlier, but learning to reflect on those mistakes and embrace the mistakes as part of the journey, and taking little bits of joy from just the smallest little moments in business that just to stop and think, that was really valuable to me, and I really enjoyed that. And believe that it's all important parts of the journey, the little moments of joy and the difficult times, they're all important and valuable.
They really are. And Heather, thank you for bringing a little moment of joy here today. I've loved spending time with you, as I always do. And
Thank
I'm
you.
very grateful for coming on and recording a conversation with me here on our podcast today. So thank you, Heather. And thank you to you for joining us, whether you've been watching, reading, listening, following along to this episode. I'm really grateful that you've made the space too as well. So I'm Suzy Sanders. I'm signing off for another episode. We have got a HR expert coming on the podcast next. So if you've got any questions that you would like to raise about this episode, about the next episode, you can email hello@alchemyva.co.uk, and I will catch up with you soon.